March 22nd, 2023 study meeting of the Livonia City Council. Please rise as Councilman Donovic leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Donovic. So tonight is a study meeting. This meeting will set the agenda for the 1,966th regular meeting of the council, which will be a voting meeting, and that will take place on Monday, April 10th of 2023. You might hear tonight some motions, some approving, denying, or referrals to committee of the whole. Those motions will carry forward to that regular meeting if need be, but no votes will be taken this evening. We have 6 members of the council. Ms. Toy, Vice President Toy, is unable to be here tonight. With that being said, we will start with audience communication. The council has set aside 30 minutes for anybody in the audience to address us for any items not on the agenda this evening. Do we have any audience communication? I see none. We will have that closed. Are there any announcements from the council? I see none. We'll jump right to work. Item number 1 tonight on the study agenda is a request. Oh, did you have a motion? Okay. Item number 1 is a request for designation as a nonprofit organization coming to us from Melissa Degan, Events Director for the Women's Council of Realtors, 275 Corridor, as required by the state of Michigan to obtain a charitable gaming license. Is Ms. Degan here?
No, she's not.
Well, good evening, ma'am. Who are you?
Come on up.
Melissa had surgery, so I'm Moj Jabour, first vice president of our chapter.
Well, welcome to the meeting. Can you tell us a little bit about your group and what you plan to be doing?
Our group is Women's Council of Realtors. It's a national organization. We have I-275 corridor, which covers Livonia, Northville, this area. So we are a nonprofit. Our mission is to educate, support women realtors in the area. So we have lots of educational events, continuing education, networking. We have a golf outing in particular that we have coming up, and a trivia night that we plan on selling 50-50 raffle tickets, and that's I think that's where it.
Right, and you want to follow the rules, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much. We wish you luck. Mr. Donovic, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. As a realtor myself, I always love to see other realtors in different associations doing community-oriented events like this, and I like to see realtors getting together and brainstorming and working together. So this is awesome. Thank you for coming to Livonia. I know you're doing some work in other communities as well, but thanks for choosing Livonia. I'd like to offer an approving on consent. There's no objection from my colleagues.
Okay, thank you. Is there any, hold on one second.
Oh.
Is there any comment from anybody in the audience? I see none. So the motion is an approving on consent, meaning that you're all set tonight. You do not have to come back to the regular meeting. This is all but assured to pass.
Okay, great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Good luck. Item number 2 is a request for authorization to purchase 2 Ford 2023 F-250 Super Cab 4x4 pickup trucks through the State of Michigan Department of Vehicle Procurement and MACOMB County Contract 21-18 for the Livonia Housing Commission to be used by the housing maintenance staff at Silver Village and Newburgh Village from budgeted funds. Good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us
How
about
are
these
you?
trucks.
Pardon me?
Tell us about the trucks.
Okay. First of all, good evening. My name is Ermine Sims. I'm the interim director for the Housing Department, and I'm here to request for authorization for the purchase through the State of Michigan Procurement Agreement to purchase 2 2023 Ford F-250 trucks from Signature Ford. Both will be $50,158, and one truck will be housed at Newburgh Village and the other at Silver Village. And the purchase will replace a 2015 Ford Transit vehicle and a 2009 Ford Ranger that will be disposed of.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Mr. Morgan?
Yep, I'd like to offer approval on consent.
Okay. Any audience comments on item number 2? There's none. You have an approving for consent. And are you here on number 3 as well?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good evening. Item number 3 is an award of contract from the Department of Economic Development to provide technical assistance for Livonia Small Business Grantee Award winners of the Livonia Small Businesses utilizing grant funds, excuse me. Good evening, sir. Your name, please?
Jacob Uhazi.
Thank you. What can you tell us about this?
So this is some of our money from the CARES Act that we are putting towards small business relief. The money is budgeted. We came for approval from you guys a few months back, and we want to select the contractors. So the first one is for small businesses with Schoolcraft College Business Development Center. That would provide technical assistance for the recipients of the grant. The grants are up to $15,000. As part of that grant, they would receive half of the money up front. Then they would work with our contractors to provide technical assistance, customized training in running their business. So the idea would be that they would work with the award grantee, and the grantee would say, we need help in X, Y, and Z. They would create a 6-week customized training for them, work with them to reach their goals, and at the end of that 6-week training, they would be awarded the second half of the grant. The grant can be used for recovery of impacts from COVID, including recovery, wage, if they had to increase wages, offering hiring bonuses, getting caught up on bills, things like that sort. The whole goal of the program is to prepare businesses for any future pandemic, economic upheaval, recession, to get them as solid footing as possible so that when they move forward, they can they'll be more resilient. This one, we did split it into 2 agenda items because this one with Schoolcraft College, they have a little bit more specialty and capacity to take on larger businesses. So small business we defined as 100 or less employees. So Schoolcraft would be taking on any business that has 6 or more. The way HUD and federal regulations classify things, anything with 6 or over employees is considered a small business, and 5 and under is a micro business.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it, unless you have any questions.
Okay. Question, Mr. Donovic?
Thank you, Mr. President. First and foremost, I've touched on this a couple of times recently. Thanks to Mr. Uhazi and Ms. Sims. I do not know how to say Madison's last name, so I'm not going to pretend. Thank you for the work all 3 of you done on this initiative, and to the Economic Development Department and the Housing Commission, respectively. I do appreciate the work you have done. This is really important to me, and I've been following it very closely. Fundamentally, I have an issue with the fact that there is a 6-week requirement for our small businesses to attend a course. However, that requirement did not come from the city of Livonia or these 2 departments. This is a requirement that came from the feds, and we are abiding by that. So I had a lot of questions for Mr. Uhazi over the weekend, and he answered them very thoroughly on these 2 things. And I understand, and I think this will help small businesses. Getting $15,000 or up to $15,000 can definitely be helpful when the government forced you to shut down for a considerable amount of time. So it is very thoughtful that the city of Livonia and these 2 departments are taking this initiative to help alleviate a little bit of that stress. My concern with this course, this class, has always been that what small business person has an additional 6 weeks of available time to take away from their development of their business or away from their family. With that being said, it is a requirement, and if we want to help these small businesses, we have to abide by those requirements. With that being said, though, this is an hour or so a week, and if that business wants to utilize these programs more by these 2 different administrators that will be administering this training, they can take advantage of that. If they don't need additional time, they just have to meet that bare minimum, which essentially will average out to about an hour a week. So I think it's really great, and I'd love to offer an approving on consent if there's no objection from my colleagues. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. If there's nobody else, is there a motion? Or did you make, I'm sorry, I missed it. Is that for consent? Okay, any audience comments on item number 3? Okay, I see none. That's on consent. And are you doing number 4 as well?
Yep.
Item number 4 is an award of contract from the Department of Economic Development to provide technical assistance for Livonia Small Business Grantee Award winners of the Livonia Micro Businesses utilizing grant funds.
So this is pretty much the exact same program. It's just the way that federal guidelines come down. And we thought it was actually easier just to split it into 2 contracts because the contractor with this one, Proxy LLC, they came in very strong. They actually administer Washtenaw County's grant that was similar to this. So they have the capacity and experience with these exact types of funds and how to administer them. And they specialize in micro business, retail, disadvantaged businesses, but the exact type of business that usually has 1 to 5 employees. The program will work exactly the same. They would just be working with a different consultant that specializes in more of those type of trainings.
Okay. Ms. McIntyre?
Could you just give us a little bit more information about Proxy? They work with Washtenaw County. Who else do they work with, Jacob?
They have, I believe it's the Coalition of Black Business Owners out of Detroit is another one of their big clients. Actually, I think I have their, so we have letters of support if you'd like a copy as well. I know I provided some to Rob. I can share with you as well. From the Economic Opportunity Manager for Washtenaw County, as well as the Metro Detroit Black Business Alliance. Those are the 2 references that they sent. And they both have very positive things to say about their work.
Great. Yeah, and the other thing is, for both of these, and I thought I'd just cover it in this, is it possible to get an agenda of exactly what is going to be, you gave some examples of what kinds of things these businesses will be helped with, but is there an agenda for the training?
Yes, so I can share that with you as well. I do have a copy if you wanted to look at it this evening, but I can send you.
If you could email it maybe to the council office and
no
share it
problem.
with all of us and a little bit more. We're familiar about Schoolcraft, and I'm somewhat familiar with their economic development or small business resources.
Yeah.
But I'm not familiar with Proxy, so thank you
I'm happy
so
to.
much.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will note, for my colleagues' pleasure, forgive me, I should have, as a good colleague, I should have sent some really great information that Mr. Uhazy had sent to me, kind of to Councilwoman McIntyre's point. It was just more information essentially on these 2 different companies that will be administering the mandatory training that the federal agency has mandated for the candidates to receive to get those dollars. But it was informational, and it does touch a little bit on that, what you were asking for, Councilwoman McIntyre. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre.
And I will also, I'd like to offer a motion, or I'd like to offer an approving to go on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there any comment from the audience on item 4? Okay, you have a consent on both items. You're batting 1,000 for tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening. Number 5 is an award of bid from the Department of Public Works for Newburgh Village housing improvements from budgeted funds. I'm looking out here, it's like, I don't know who's gonna, go ahead, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. Jacob Rushlow, Assistant Director of Public Works. The purpose of this project is to remove the existing HVAC systems, water heaters, air handler, and the AC condensers at the Newburgh Village apartments in each unit and replace with installation of new units. In order to proceed with construction of this project, we prepared bid documents with assistance from our architect, Detroit Architectural Group, and put those out for bid on BidNet Direct. Bid opening is held on March 7th, and we received 2 competitive bids. Shaw Construction Group and Management Company was the lowest qualified bidder. It's a recommendation of the department that council take the following actions to proceed with the Newburgh Village housing improvements. Accept the bid and award a contract with Shaw in an amount of $1,099,920 and authorize an expenditure of $716,985 from budgeted funds in the Newburgh Village Fund and authorize an additional appropriation and expenditure of the unexpended fund balance of the Newburgh Village Fund in the amount of $382,935. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Council President.
Mr. Rushlow, I applaud you guys. I know over the past couple months, we've been learning more and more about our buildings and the repairs that they do need, some of them. And seeing this and taking a proactive step, updating the HVAC, a lot of these things are gonna equate to better energy savings, equating to dollars saved. And it's gonna be great for even the indoor air quality for our residents as well. So everything looked in order. You've got a good couple companies, and there was a recommendation from DAG. I'd be happy to offer an approving on consent if there's no objections.
Thank you. Any comment from the audience on item number 5? I see none. You have an approving for consent on 5.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 6 is a request to amend the contract with Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick, Inc., IEW, for construction engineering services for the 2022 Concrete Road Program, Contract 22C, from the Engineering Division, citing Council Resolutions 336-21 and 89-22 and 76-23. Mr. Zalinsik?
Good evening, Mr. President and council members. As you recall, City Council approved some additional funding in the amount of $1.467 million to take advantage of those industrial roads such as Sears, industrial west of Levan, and a couple other locations in which we could take advantage of the unit prices from 2021. Based on that information that you approved, we now have to allow for the construction engineering portion that AEW will handle. Scott Lockwood is here, so we're asking for your approval to increase our contract from $600,000 from 22C in the amount of $176,040 per the amount of construction, to a new total of $776,040. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody from the council? Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Mr. President. Everything looks in order. We have a great partnership with AEW. They do great work. I'd be happy to offer an approving on consent.
Thank you. Any audience comments on item number 6? I see none. We'll move on to 7, an award of contract from the Engineering Division for the 2023 Concrete Road Paving Program, Contract 23C. Mr. Zalinsik?
Yes, again, it's part of our millage that was passed thanks to our residents out there last August. We had an overwhelming 80%. We are taking advantage of that funding, and we decided to determine what locations in the city needed to be reconstructed as part of the concrete repair program in 2023. We worked with AEW to put out the bids, and there was a total of 6 bidders that bid on Mitten back on March 7th. The bids varied from $2.9 million all the way up to 4.3. So we're looking to award the contract in the amount of $2,914,454.27 to Hard Rock Concrete. They also had 200 inspector days. They are the lowest qualified bidder for this project. With that, again, they've been doing our road program for the last several years, and recommended by AEW. We're looking, obviously, there's a different breakdown in the funds that are available. And with this approval, City Council has provided an overall $9.8 million worth of road improvements with the asphalt, selective slab, and this is the final bid that came in for the concrete. So I appreciate all your support and help and to maintain those 373 miles that are out there to make sure we have our good roads. Thank you.
It's like the roads here are paved with gold.
They're getting more expensive as the years go by, Mr. President.
Any comment or motions from the council? Mr. Donovic?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for saying nice things, Mr. Zalinsik, to council, but it's the engineering department, it's AEW, it's OHM, it's Hard Rock Concrete, it's Rotundo Cement, it's these companies that work so hard for the residents of our city, and the staff and the DPW, and the list goes on and on about the individuals that really maintain those things. We get to sit up here in front of TV and in front of our hundreds and hundreds of people watching on the audience, but ultimately it's you that get it done. So with that being said, Hard Rock does great work in our community, so I'd love to offer an approving consent. There's no objection from my colleagues.
Okay, any audience comments on 7? I see none. And Todd takes it upon himself to make sure the residents are happy as well at all times.
I do my best.
Item number 8 is a request to amend the contract with Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick, AEW, for construction of engineering services for the 2023 Concrete Road Program Contract 23C from the Engineering Division. Mr. Zielinski?
Yes, based on the last item that you approved for 2.9 million to go on consent, again, this is to allow for the construction engineering, which includes the testing of the concrete, making sure we have strength being tested, density, and making sure that we have a long-lasting road. So with that, we're looking for your approval in the amount of $349,735 for the construction engineering portion based on the 2.9 million construction budget set aside for the 23C. And if you have any further questions, just be happy to answer those. And we also have, again, Scott Lockwood and Ross Wilberding out in the audience representing AEW this evening.
Thank you. Counsel? Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, I'd like to offer approving for consent.
Thank you. Anybody from the audience? Oh, Ms. McIntyre?
Not from the audience, but just like to make a comment, as I often do. Once again, AEW is well-known to us. We do a lot of work with them, and they're very well-known. They're a premier firm. They don't ever take anybody's business for granted. And at 8:30 on a Wednesday night, here are their two representatives who are not, it's not particularly convenient for them to get to Livonia after a long day of work, but they're here. And again, that's just a testament to the kind of firms the city does business with. And your attendance is appreciated, and it's always nice to have you here should we have any questions. So thank you. We have high expectations of the people that do business with us, and we are very happy because the best companies want to work with this city and bid very competitively, and after they get the bids, generally like AEW, OHM, another number of other contractors, they're just there and they work in partnership, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre. Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Council President. Just with both the gentlemen there, I almost wanted to bring up especially Mr. Lockwood for questioning since he left our team to play for the Red Wings in our charity function, but we'll save that.
Thank you, Mr. McCullough. Mr. Lockwood's not bad for a Brother Rice guy. That's the best compliment I can give him. With that being said, I think we have a motion to approve on consent for item number 8 as well. Is that correct?
I believe that's what Mr. Morgan offered.
Thank you. Is there any other audience comment or audience communication for the evening? I see none. Is there anything else further from the council? I see none. We'll adjourn the meeting. Good evening.